We will never have those memories. No more hugs, no more snuggles. They were ripped from us.
Orono is a city located in Hennepin County, Minnesota, in the United States. It's on the north shore of Lake Minnetonka and is a suburban community known for its scenic beauty. The city is also known as a commuter hub due to its close proximity to the nearby Minneapolis. It was a quiet morning for police officers in Orono on the 20th of May 2022. Some were out on patrol when a 911 call came into the dispatch centre at around 7 a.m. It was from a woman who reported seeing a Chevrolet Impala weaving through traffic with a shattered rear window and a flat tyre. She wondered if possibly it was a drunk driver and feared for the safety of other drivers and people. The dispatcher wasted no time in relating this information to the nearest patrol units. Within minutes, Officer Trent Wybush and his colleague took off in the direction of where the car was reported to be driving. It wasn't long until they spotted a Chevrolet Impala driving along Bartlett Avenue. The front tire was missing, and the car was riding on the rim, as the rhythmic thud of metal against the pavement sounded out. The officers turned on their sirens, and the car pulled over to the side of the road. As they drew closer, they could see that the back window of the vehicle had been smashed and a tire was missing, much like the caller had said. The two officers anticipated a drunken driver to emerge, but when a woman emerged from the driver's side, and she was sober, they seemed perplexed. But her demeanour was quite strange to the officers. She was dishevelled and unkempt, and appeared to be nervous and fidgety. The two officers took her behind the vehicle, and as one of them questioned her, the other glanced into the vehicle. They could see a bullet hole in the back seat, as well as a live shotgun shell and a spent casing. As they spoke with the woman, they then noticed that there was some blood on her hands. Eli Hart came into the world on the 15th of December 2015 to parents Jalissa Thaler and Tori Hart, who were both 19 years old at the time they met. Their relationship swiftly evolved, leading them to move in together within months, and soon they welcomed their son Eli into their lives. However, Eli faced challenges from the start, being born with Townes-Brocks syndrome, a rare genetic disorder causing various developmental issues. This condition led to kidney disease and hearing difficulties, necessitating the use of hearing aids. But despite these obstacles, Eli remained resilient. He even managed to enjoy typical childhood activities, such as running and playing, despite some physical challenges like overlapping toes on his flat feet. Yet amidst these trials, Eli encountered another struggle in his life: his mother, Jalissa. She battled with long-standing substance abuse problems, which persisted even after Eli's birth. Some people who knew her believe that she may have been using drugs during her pregnancy. Jalissa's life had been marked by adversity long before Eli came into the world. Struggles with mental health, including depression, mood disorder, and borderline personality disorder, had plagued her since her adolescence. Her battles extended to substance abuse, leading to multiple hospitalizations and periods of homelessness, including a stint on the street for 45 days during her final year of high school. Despite years of medication, Jalissa chose to discontinue treatment before Eli was born. Those who knew Jalissa held out hope that motherhood would inspire positive change, believing Eli's presence might prompt her to confront her addiction and seek professional support. However, this optimism proved unfounded, as Jalissa continued to grapple with her demons, despite the responsibility of motherhood. Jalissa's mental health struggles escalated, but instead of turning inward, they took a harmful turn towards Tori. She began fabricating accusations of abuse, once even involving the police by alleging physical harm during an argument. Jalissa went as far as claiming that Tori threatened her life if she ever left him, only to retract the complaint days later, admitting that it was fabricated due to her untreated mental health issues. Despite this, Jalissa repeated her false accusations the following year, this time alleging that Tori had threatened her with a shotgun. However, given her history and the lack of evidence, police chose not to pursue charges. Fearing further damage, Tori decided to end their relationship, and he left their shared home. Tori wanted to get full custody of his son Eli, but his efforts were thwarted because of the false orders of protection that had been filed by Jalissa. She frequently sought restraining orders against Tori, accusing him of making threats to physically harm her and Eli. These were always unfounded, but Jalissa had found a way to manipulate the system in her favour. In Minnesota, unlike some other states, unwed fathers have no custodial rights unless the courts award them. The system truly favours mothers over and over again, even when concerns are raised. As Jalissa's own father said, "I guarantee you 100% that Tori is incapable of anything Jalissa has accused him of. He wasn't even in the state when some of this stuff supposedly happened. He has receipts showing he was in Wisconsin, almost 3 hours away." But these receipts did very little to sway the court, so Jalissa was granted full custody of Eli. After the family dissolved, Jalissa and Tori didn't cross paths again until 2019, when she unexpectedly appeared at his sister's wedding. A few months later, Jalissa accused Tori of planting a nail bomb in her car, prompting police involvement. Despite no evidence of such an act, a judge still ordered Tori to stay away from Jalissa for 2 years, even though he resided in Wisconsin at the time. Then in October of 2020, police responded to Jalissa and Eli's residence after Eli locked his mother out. Upon entering the home, police were shocked by the squalid conditions. The pervasive musty odour assaulted their senses, while piles of rubbish and dirty dishes cluttered nearly every room. The upper floor bathroom was flooded, and eggs had been smashed and spread throughout the entire home. The officers observed troubling signs. Eli lacked clothing, bore an open wound on his elbow, and he was also found without his essential hearing aids. Child Protective Services intervened, temporarily removing Eli from Jalissa's care and placing him into foster care. During her scheduled visits with Eli, social workers observed Jalissa's alarming behaviour. She displayed consistent anger towards her son, often blaming him for their separation and the intervention of police. Jalissa's accusations against Eli for locking her out and spreading eggs in the house were particularly disturbing. She told the 4-year-old, "That made them come and get you," instilling guilt and fear into him. Eli's demeanour during these encounters was equally as disturbing. He appeared frightened of his mother, seeking refuge behind furniture and refusing to engage with her. After Jalissa left, social workers sometimes found that Eli had wet himself, indicating distress and anxiety in his mother's presence. Nevertheless, Jalissa eventually got custody back, and Eli returned to her care. But another concerning report surfaced in January of 2021. Child Protective Services received a call indicating that Jalissa was experiencing psychosis and hearing voices urging her to harm herself. It had also been discovered that she had been showing Eli disturbing videos of cat feces and nude women. She had been experiencing a level of paranoia and had set up a noise machine in her apartment because she feared that her neighbours were spying on her. As a result, Eli was once more removed from Jalissa's care and placed into foster care, under the guardianship of a woman named Nikita Kronberg. During this period, Eli had the opportunity to spend quality time with his father, who seized the chance to teach him valuable skills such as riding a bike and enjoying weekend fishing trips together. Despite the challenges that he faced, Eli remained a cheerful and content child. He loved playing with matchbox cars and harboured dreams of becoming a firefighter one day. Eli eagerly embraced fishing with his father, displaying a natural talent for the activity from the outset. Despite his father's extensive experience and ownership of a bait shop, Eli outperformed him in fishing that day and caught more fish. Tori reminisced. I got him a small kid's pole, but he wanted to use my bigger one. He got it down first cast. By now, Tori had moved on with a woman named Josie Josephson, who embraced Eli as part of their family. Tori cherished the opportunity to establish stability and a genuine connection with his son, eagerly anticipating their time together. Under Tori's care, Eli enjoyed new freedoms, including sleepovers at his father's house, a privilege denied during Jalissa's custody. They established traditions such as Tuesday nights at Cabon's restaurant, where Eli always ordered his favourite dish, a massive bowl of meatballs. Josie said of Tori, he was missing a piece of himself when his son wasn't around. During the custody battle, Child Protective Services raised significant concerns about Jalissa's suitability as a mother. These worries stemmed from her troubled mental health history and her involvement in criminal activities. In June of 2022, Jalissa faced a workplace hearing due to allegations of stealing drugs from a health clinic. This added to a list of transgressions that included multiple traffic violations such as speeding, reckless driving, and using a cell phone while driving. Jalissa's ongoing substance abuse problems further exacerbated the situation, and she tested positive for methadone and OxyContin. Her living situation was also unstable, marked by eviction from 2 homes due to disruptive behaviour that prompted police intervention 21 times in a mere 10 months. She was once kicked out after keeping ducks in the living room. Jalissa attempted to address her addiction at a drug testing facility, but was ultimately expelled due to what staff described as bizarre behaviour. Amidst these concerns, Child Protective Services highlighted apprehensions that Jalissa's mental health struggles might impede her ability to provide proper care for Eli. They also feared her actions could be negatively impacting Eli's relationship with his father, who they described as a stabilising influence in his life. Despite these serious concerns, Judge Tim Wormiger ruled in Jalissa's favour, granting her custody of Eli on a trial basis in December. While Jalissa had the backing of one social worker, Beth Denner, who advocated for her to receive full custody, Denner had also highlighted some concerning issues. She noted that Jalissa had been absent from weekly therapy sessions for several months and lacked insight into her own mental health and behaviour. Additionally, Denner pointed out instances of neglect regarding Eli's medical needs, particularly regarding his hearing aids. But despite these red flags, Denner said in her report, there's no current indication that her son is physically unsafe in her care. So on the 10th of May 2022, Jalissa was granted full custody of Eli. This decision deeply upset Tori, as he believed that Eli had a more stable relationship with his foster mother, which had allowed him to be in the picture. Determined to secure custody himself, Tori expressed his desire for Eli to come and live with him in Wisconsin, where he owned a bait shop. Following Eli's return to living with his mother, there was a noticeable shift in his behaviour. Previously a diligent and cheerful child at school, he began displaying signs of anxiety and engaging in troubling behaviour. Instances such as pushing a child off a slide and kicking another in the throat, actions that were completely uncharacteristic of him, raised serious concerns for Tori about Eli's well-being at home. Eli had often shown up to school without his hearing aids, and he often told teachers that he hadn't slept. The situation continued to deteriorate as Eli started to regress further. He developed habits such as chewing on his t-shirt, struggled with sleep, and exhibited speech patterns akin to a baby, accompanied by stuttering. Fearing that Eli might be subjected to abuse, Tori took action and reached out to Dakota County social workers to express his apprehensions. Tori emphasised that Eli hadn't exhibited any of these issues before returning to live with his mother. He pointed out Jalissa's troubled mental health history, noting instances of paranoia and auditory hallucinations. He also said, "I feel so bad for Eli. I feel he will be injured or worse being back with his mum." Concerned about his son's safety and well-being, Tori firmly believed that Eli would be better off under his care in Wisconsin. In pursuit of this belief, Tori initiated a separate legal case to secure custody of his son. A hearing on that petition was scheduled for the 21st of June. Even Jalissa's father seemed to support this decision. He said of Tori, "He was the parent that Eli deserved. He's the guy you want raising your grandchild." Jalissa's grandmother, Linda, also agreed. She had once had a close relationship with her granddaughter, Jalissa, but after she filed the phony restraining orders against Tori, she cut off all ties with her. She recalled, "That man doesn't have a mean bone in his body. I said, you drop that restraining order now, or you can consider our relationship done. That was the last time I talked to her." According to records, Eli appeared to be much happier when he was with his father during their visits. One of them noted, "Tori brings age-appropriate toys and activities, and is very engaging with Eli. During these visits, Eli is noticeably smiling, talkative, energetic, and he seems to enjoy them." It was a stark difference to the notes of when Eli was visiting with his mother and hid behind furniture. Tori wasn't the only one to observe the distressing changes in Eli's behaviour after Jalissa got full custody. Eli's foster mother, Nikita, also took action by reaching out to Child Protective Services. She voiced her concerns about Jalissa's potential danger to Eli, even suggesting that she might resort to extreme measures to prevent Tori from gaining custody. She commented, "I expressed those fears numerous times, and it was clearly brushed aside." Just 10 days after Jalissa regained full custody of her son, police in the city pulled over a young woman who was driving with her back window smashed and her tyre missing. She explained to the officers that she was en route to meet her AA sponsor, a Tonker Alano Society in Mound, when she was ambushed by individuals emerging from nearby woods who began pelting her car with rocks. She further claimed that they had fired upon her vehicle with what she initially thought was a BB gun, but later said that it was a paintball gun. While one officer conversed with the woman, another officer, Officer Wybush, conducted a visual inspection of the vehicle's exterior. He was immediately struck by a pungent odour of decay emanating from the car. Upon closer examination, he observed traces of blood in the back seat, on the ceiling, and along the passenger side door. There was also what appeared to be a bullet hole, as well as a live shotgun shell and a spent casing.
There is no tire there. All right.
Yeah, there's blood.
There's what?
There's blood all over the car.
Violation. I have a broken windshield and I'm missing a tire because some kids were shooting at my car. I had some.
What looks like blood in there? And
It's not blood. It's deer meat. I had a big bag of. There's a farm around here that does deer meat and hamburgers. So.
shotgun shells all over the side.
When questioned about the blood, the woman said she had recently purchased some deer meat from a farmer. But blood was also present on her hands, which she explained away as being from changing her tampon. The officer spent the next 30 minutes trying to figure out if the woman had been involved in an incident outside of their jurisdiction. While they were doing this, the woman appeared to become impatient. She complained that she was cold, so the officers told her she could leave while they looked into the matter. However, they needed to give her a lift back home because her vehicle wasn't roadworthy. Before they left, they asked the woman for some identification. She told them that her name was Jalissa Thaler. The two officers accompanied Jalissa back to her apartment in Spring Park before returning to her damaged vehicle. They intended to have it towed for further investigation. While waiting for the tow truck, the officers decided to conduct a preliminary inspection. In the back seat, they noticed what appeared to be bloody tissue. Upon opening the trunk, they were confronted with a shotgun hidden behind a grey blanket. The blanket itself bore traces of a blood-like substance, along with what appeared to be brain matter. Beneath the blanket lay a horrifying discovery.
Holy, we got a body. All right, let's cover.
It was the lifeless and disfigured body of a young boy, his features unrecognizable. It was 6-year-old Eli, and he had been shot 9 times with a shotgun, completely destroying his face and upper body. The officers wasted no time and swiftly returned to Jalissa's apartment. However, their repeated knocks on the door yielded no response. Without hesitation, they resorted to breaking down the door, revealing an eerily empty apartment with only the sound of a running washing machine echoing through the space. Upon closer inspection, they discovered that inside the washing machine were the very clothes Jalissa had been wearing during the traffic stop. Their investigation led them to Jalissa just a few blocks away from her home, where she was arrested. As she was placed into handcuffs, the officers observed blood and human tissue entangled within her hair. Following Jalissa's arrest, she was charged with the second-degree murder of Eli, prompting detectives to launch a thorough investigation into their final movements. Utilising the damage caused by Jalissa's car, detectives managed to reconstruct some of her activity from that morning. Their investigation led them to a nearby petrol station, where Jalissa had been before her encounter with the officers. Searching the area, detectives made some chilling discoveries in the dumpsters. Among them was a backpack, stained with blood and brain matter. In another dumpster, they found a child booster seat, ominously marked by a shotgun blast in the exact position where a child's head would have rested. It became apparent that Eli had been secured in his booster seat when he suffered the horrific fate of being shot 9 times with a shotgun. Alongside the booster seat lay Eli's blood-soaked backpack, containing his untouched homework. As detectives delved deeper into the investigation, they uncovered more evidence linking Jalissa to Eli's murder. Alma Vasquez, the clerk at the Shell gas station, provided crucial insight, recounting Jalissa's activities that morning. She said that Jalissa had spent approximately an hour at the gas station, cleaning out her car's back seat and disposing of the items in the dumpsters. Alma also observed Jalissa washing her hands in a puddle, a detail that would prove significant in the forensic analysis. Upon further examination at the gas station, forensic experts discovered traces of Eli's DNA in the water and dumpsters. Additionally, testimony from a friend shed light on Jalissa's disturbing behaviour leading up to Eli's death. She had shown a keen interest in firearms, purchasing a shotgun and ammunition with a disturbing request for the most destructive rounds. Jalissa had also researched morbid topics, such as child life insurance and blood loss thresholds for a 6-year-old. The detectives continued in their investigation, and they obtained surveillance footage from outside Jalissa's apartment the night before Eli was found. She could be seen loading a long object wrapped in a blanket into her car. It was the shotgun. As she did that, Eli skipped along and climbed into the back seat of the car. As details of Eli's upbringing were made public, Questions were raised about whether or not he had been failed by the services set up to protect children just like him. His former foster mother, Nikita, blasted the Child Protective Services and said that they had failed Eli big time. Tori's fiancée, Josie, echoed the same sentiment, stating, "No matter how many times we cried, they ignored us. No matter how many warning signs we gave." On the 22nd of May, approximately 200 people gathered at the Westonka Library to honour the memory of Eli. The library held special significance, as it was a place that Eli had cherished, often visiting with his father to indulge in their shared love of reading. As a tribute to Eli's aspirations of becoming a firefighter, the Mound Fire Department presented a helmet in his honour, along with bestowing upon him the title of honorary member. Eli's dreams would forever remain unfulfilled, as he would forever remain 6 years old. Tori, who was holding tightly to a bag containing his son's ashes, was present at the service, accompanied by Eli's foster father, Brian Nair. Brian reflected on the poignant gathering, stating, "It's sad to see that it has to come from a little boy passing in such a violent death, but it's great to see the support from the community. It's great to see people have come out to support his family and just come together and remember Eli, remember the happy times." After the memorial, the Mound City Council voted to name a local bridge in Eli's honour. The bridge was across a channel from Lake Minnetonka and was currently unnamed. The petition to rename the bridge after Eli drew more than 2,300 signatures. People had suggested that renaming the bridge in Eli's memory would remind people to keep pushing for a better system to protect children. But the community wanted to do more to remember Eli, and a group of people began fundraising to build a playground in his name. Eli loved playgrounds, especially the monkey bars, and it seemed like a fitting tribute. In August of that year, Tori filed a lawsuit against Dakota County and 3 of its employees for allegedly ignoring warning signs that Jalissa was mentally ill and unfit to care for Eli. He noted how 2 social workers and a court-appointed guardian had repeatedly raised concerns about Jalissa, but still recommended she be granted full custody. His attorney, Joshua Tutscherer, announced, had due care and reasonable decision-making been employed here, Eli would not have been returned to his mother, and she would not have had an opportunity to kill him. In the lawsuit, Tori accused Jalissa of failing to abide by the rules set down by the court and her monitors, such as failing to show up for mandated drug tests and engaging in inappropriate conduct with her son. He accused her of leaving rotting food in her apartment, testing positive for methadone and OxyContin, and exposing Eli to images and videos of naked women. He also said that Jalissa had told her therapist that she had once left Eli on the side of a cliff in Colorado when she fetched a drinking cup. She had described tying a rope onto herself and climbing down the side of the cliff to retrieve the drinking cup. She had left Eli unattended at the cliffside, and couldn't say why she didn't just go out and purchase a new drinking cup, instead of putting herself and Eli in danger. While this was going through the courts, Jalissa had a competency evaluation at the request of her defence attorney. It found that she was competent and could assist in her own defence. Then in January of 2023, Jalissa's murder charge was upgraded to first-degree murder. Her trial was scheduled for the following month, but before then she made a request to the judge. She asked for a warning during the trial before graphic photographs and evidence were presented, and asked whether she could leave the courtroom to avoid seeing exactly what she had done to her own son. Prosecutor Dan Allard described the photographs as the worst thing he had ever seen in his entire life, and objected to Jalissa being given a warning or being allowed to leave the courtroom. The judge ultimately rejected her request, and by the 3rd of February, a jury was seated and the trial was ready to begin. The courtroom filled up quickly as Jalissa sat alongside her defence team in preparation for the opening statements. Her defence attorney, Rebecca Newthard, asked the jury to come to the table with an open mind assume nothing, and withhold judgment until deliberations. She stated, "A beautiful 6-year-old boy is dead. His grieving mother is sitting here accused of murdering her son with a shotgun. There's no light at the end of this trial, no way to bring him back." Prosecutor Britta Rapp didn't offer a motivation during her opening statements, but said that they would show that the murder was premeditated. She revealed how Jalissa had taken out life insurance policies, obtained a firearm permit, purchased a shotgun, and even searched on the internet how much life insurance pay for a dead child, as well as how much blood can a 6-year-old lose. The first witness to testify during the trial was Tori, who poignantly told the court that there was still so much he wanted to do with his son before his life was brutally cut short. He was emotional as he said, "He was everything to me. He completed my life. I just loved spending time with him. All the stuff I got to show him and all the stuff I wanted to show him." The 2 officers who responded to the 911 call the morning Eli's body was found testified about Jalissa's demeanour. She refused to make eye contact and appeared to be nervous. Officer Trent Wybush stated, "It raised my level of alertness to be beyond a routine traffic stop. Something more is going on than not having a tire." The evidence against Jalissa was overwhelming. Detectives presented the surveillance footage, as well as the forensic evidence found at the dumpster and puddle. When Jalissa was arrested, the blood and brain matter in her hair came back as a match to Eli's DNA. The prosecutor said that the night that Eli was killed had followed what seemed to be a happy day for him. Eli and Jalissa had gone shopping, ate pizza, and then watched movies. This testimony had come from Jalissa's boyfriend at the time, Robert Pickerian, but when it came bedtime, Eli didn't want to go to sleep. This caused an argument, so Jalissa shuffled him into the car. Prosecutor Allard said that Eli probably thought he was going on a late-night adventure with his mother. They drove around the western suburbs of Minneapolis until Jalissa found a secluded spot where she shot him 9 times as he sat in the back seat. The prosecutor noted that the final 3 shots were fired after Jalissa had reloaded the weapon. Cell phone data from Jalissa's phone placed the murder at Lake Minnetonka Regional Park. Her cell phone data also put her at all of the scenes where evidence was found. While the prosecution wasn't required to prove a motive for the murder, they mentioned that Eli was the subject of a custody dispute between Jalissa and Tori. The defense, on the other hand, suggested that somebody else may have pulled the trigger. Defense attorney Brian Leary admitted that the prosecution had presented enough evidence to show that Jalissa was guilty of participating in murder. However, he said they didn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the gun was in her hands. He stated, "She destroyed evidence, lied to police, ran away, but they haven't proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the gun was in her hands when it was fired 9 times into her son." The defense attorney declined to suggest who may have pulled the trigger, and he opted out of calling any witnesses. However, Jalissa and Eli were the only 2 seen getting into the car the night of the murder. Then Jalissa arrived back home alone after the 2 officers escorted her there after stopping her damaged vehicle. The jury deliberated for just 2 hours before finding Jalissa Thaler guilty of the murder of Eli Hart. The judge scheduled the sentencing phase for the 16th of February, but the conviction carried an automatic life sentence. The details of Eli's murder were so horrific that jurors were offered free crisis counselling. On the 16th of February, Jalissa returned to court to be sentenced for Eli's murder. Victim impact statements were presented, and Eli's father and stepmother were the first to stand before the microphone.
Eli was an amazing 6-year-old boy who always woke up full of energy and laughter. He was kind, made friends easily, loved reading books. Eli had a love for animals that was very special. Eli explored, played outside, fished with his dad.
Jalissa sat alongside her defence team, wiping away tears with the tissue as Josie spoke about the bond between Eli and Tori.
The love and connection he had with his son, that Tori had with his only son, was something I was privileged to see. You could see the love and bond they shared every second they were together. They had this extra spark between them that everyone could see. Now we only have memories, and they are not enough. Time was taken from us, a lifetime of memories to be made gone. The moments I treasured as being a parent myself, Tori will never have those experiences. A lifetime without Eli, robbed of us. School milestones that we will never get to see, like graduating kindergarten and elementary school. All the artwork he would have brought home and put on the fridge, taken. The first day of middle school and high school, prom, graduation, watch him play sports, teach him to drive, stolen from us. Watching Eli grow and become a young man and what he could have been and done in this world. We will never have those memories. No more hugs, no more snuggles. They were ripped from us.
Josie spoke on behalf of herself and Tori, but he stood by her side the entire time. Jalissa was then given the chance to make a statement.
I'm innocent. Fuck you all. You're garbage. That's all you're on.
Miss Thaler, I don't know that that's appropriate here.
Sorry I told you what somebody else can.
What I would say is, the worst thing that seems to happen to parents is to lose their child. It's worse, though, when you don't lose your child to something like cancer or an accident. It's when someone takes that child from the world. What I can't imagine, nobody can imagine, is when the person that takes a child from the world is the one that brought that child in. But that is what the jury concluded you did, and I respect the jury's judgment, and I respect Minnesota's decision about what the appropriate consequence is. Nothing I do would bring justice to this situation. Nothing I do would relieve any of the pain that you caused by doing that. But what is, according to law, the just and fair sentence for what you did is what Mr. Allard said, and that is life in prison without the possibility of parole. So I will judge you guilty of first-degree murder and issue that sentence. I will not impose any sentence.
I can't hear you over your stomach grumbling. I'm sorry.
Bottom line is that you are being sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, Ms. Thaler.
Jalissa Thaler was then sentenced to life in prison. In December of 2023, Mount City Council approved the new playground to be dedicated in Eli's memory. Private fundraising had covered the cost of the playground equipment, and the council voted to spend $120,000 from the city's municipal liquor fund and a special project reserve fund to prepare the ground for the new playground. It was to replace the smaller playground in Surfside Park on the shore of Lake Minnetonka. It's scheduled to be built and open by the summer of 2024. The lawsuit that Tori filed is still pending. The tragic story of Eli Hart underscores the flaws within a system vulnerable to manipulation by a parent driven to win custody by any means necessary. It exposes the daunting challenges that fathers face in securing custody rights, particularly in cases where the parents were never married. Tragically, Eli paid the ultimate price as a result of these systemic shortcomings. Well, besties, that is it for this episode of Morbidology. As always, thank you so much for listening, and I'd like to say a massive thank you to my newest supporters up on Patreon, Carrie and Leah. You can join Morbidology on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and there are no obligations. You can cancel your subscription at any time. Up on Patreon, I upload ad-free and early release episodes, bonus episodes of Morbidology Plus, behind the scenes, and I also send out a handwritten thank you card along with some merch. As mentioned, Morbidology is now up on YouTube. The episodes on YouTube are presented in a documentary style, along with photographs and videos relevant to each case, including interrogations, surveillance footage, interviews and trial testimony. So if you're up on YouTube, please go over and search for Morbidology and hit that subscribe button. Remember to check us out at morbidology.com for more information about this episode and to read some true crime articles. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and have an amazing week.